self-care is just essentially, it's pretty basic. It's how you take care of yourself. Make sure that you keep your happiness in mind and your mental health in mind. And it looks different for everybody, so there's no clear definition, but it's really important for students with really busy and stressful lives. It's also very important for survivors post-trauma.
Self-care is like, it's kind of redundant. It's like, take care of yourself. For me personally, what I do is I make sure I'm very organized. I make sure that I keep everything on track, and I'm very pieced together. Because I feel like that's the basis of everything. Like, that's the basis of your self-care. Because if you're not organized, then a lot, you can fall apart.
My favorite self-care is to kind of just tune out everything. So I will listen to a podcast about an interesting topic that, it makes me think, and it doesn't make me think about the quiz I have on Tuesday or the paper that's due tomorrow.
I think it's really important to physically care for yourself as well as mentally. Because I think you need to think about what you're feeling and what happened during your day and how you feel about that. And yeah, when I go home, I like to do face masks and take a bath and all that kind of stuff.
My favorite thing about self-care is knowing my own limits and knowing when to take time to myself. And I think that spending time alone can often be the best way for me to practice self-care, especially because when you're at college, you're just constantly surrounded by people. So I personally find a lot of value in being alone for self-care.
If you haven't really figured out what works for you for self-care, kind of join the club. A lot of people haven't, and even if you think you've really figured it out and you're rock climbing's my thing, that might change next year, that might change next month. So self-care is really a journey. It's kind of what works best for you, and it's really hard to figure out. And actually for a lot of people, self-care is pretty difficult. People who struggle with depression, anxiety, I try not to frame self-care as something that comes so natural, oh, you just sit down, you watch TV, and you tune out the world, and it's that simple. Self-care is taking care of yourself and loving yourself, and that can be really difficult. So if you haven't figured it out, don't think it's a no-brainer. It's totally not.